You had to choose between being a judge and being a comic. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I was always an attorney, comedian, actor. They all kind of happened at the same time. And then about 10 years into being all of those things, I was approached by the Township of South Hackensack, which is the town next to the town I grew up in. And I was asked if I wanted to be a municipal court judge. I initially rejected the proposal because of my background, thinking it might be an issue. The township said, well, we're going to nominate you anyway. 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats put me in with a 5-0 vote. And then you go to something called Baby Judge School.
Officially called Baby Judge School?
Well, that's the name judges give it. But having practiced in the municipal court a lot, I was very familiar with what you had to do. But I started learning about some of the canons and rules and ethics issues that came up, and one of them was doing charity work. And that's really how this whole thing came about, is as performers, we tend to do a lot of charity work. So I blew the whistle on myself, and I presented this query to the administrative office of the courts, and it seemed to be resolved in 2008. Then another judge got in trouble in 2010, and this kind of came back to life with a letter that was supposedly sent in 2008 in October asking for my resignation, at least as an opinion. I didn't see it. My superiors didn't see it. At that point, actually, I'd been a judge now for a solid 2 years plus. And I'd built a reputation for being very fair, very good at my job. So my superior said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I want to appeal it. And I appealed it. And then my appearances on What Would You Do became an issue, because I tend to play, the negative character, protagonist, antagonist, I should say. And that became an issue. And I think the AOC kind of was a little bit put off by the fact that I refused to take their recommendation. Wound up before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, we've looked at your record as a judge. It's impeccable. You've been appealed and affirmed every time. You've had no issues in your court. In fact, all of the feedback we've received is incredible. But we have this rule, and you have to understand, people that see you play certain characters or hear you say certain things on stage could come before you and have a question as to whether or not you're meeting the standard of a judge. On the one hand, I get it. On the other hand, the decision is a little crazy, because what they said is you choose. Which is, so we think that the public might think that you're this negative, whatever character you play, and you believe all the things you say on stage. But if you stop doing it today, we'll wipe that clean.
And that never happened.
Right. It's almost like saying to Paula Deen, listen, you were probably a racist. But if you stop saying the N-word today, we're good moving forward. So it's kind of weird. And, for me, the decision was easy. It's, I believe in this
So it
dream.
was easy? It was easy?
It was for me. It was for me, because I really believe that, I can make this dream real.
Well, it gave you a lot of press.
It did. It wasn't press I was looking for. I mean, it's, but hey, listen, that's part of what life is, and you don't know what the path is that gets you attention, and you take the road.
But it was completely preemptive, like this choice. It wasn't because you did something particular. They thought one day someone might complain. So that was
well, that's it. No one's complained. There's been no complaint at any point in time. In fact, there was overwhelming support that I should be able to do all of the things at the same time. A lot of people are like, what's the problem? We don't understand.